Greetings, NAHMMA conference attendees. Thank you for joining me for today's presentation on the topic of Refuel Your Fun and Save campaign, Making the Switch. I'm Pelczar, Special Projects Manager with the California Product Stewardship Council, also known as CPSC. Before I get started, I'd like to briefly share with you a bit about CPSC. We're a small but mighty 501c3 based in Sacramento. Our mission is to shift the cost burden of dealing with problem products at their end of life from ratepayers and taxpayers like you and me to producers of the problem products. We have an active board of public and private stakeholders from across California, each supporting the organization as we pursue solutions centered on green design, extended producer responsibility, and product stewardship for products such as carpet, paint, mattresses, medicines, sharps, and others. Our funding comes from individuals and organizations, some public and some private, such as those shown here. We'd like to call out our funders since they help fund our continued education and advocacy work across California. Allow me to present to you our newly updated Refuel Your Fun and Save campaign logo, now legally protected with a federal registration mark. The Refuel Your Fun and Save campaign, also known in this presentation as the campaign, has one mission: to get residents to change their behavior when it comes to consuming propane from a 1-pound cylinder. Instead of using single-use cylinders, we'd like them to make the switch to reusables. Although it's made a lot of sense for a long time to use reusables, it has recently become not only cheaper to do that, but also more convenient too. Since approximately 40 million single-use 1-pound propane cylinders are used in North America each and every year, it creates an awful lot of waste for our local waste haulers. And at a rather large cost burden too, one that seems to be growing rather quickly. Also, single-use cylinders are expensive when you realize that about 80% of the price you pay is just for the packaging. I know that's hard to believe, but the gas inside the cylinder is just a small portion of the cost paid each time a single-use cylinder is purchased. It's also worth noting that single-use cylinders can be very dangerous. I'm not talking about the real danger of refilling containers that are intended to be simply single-use containers. That's a danger that's certainly real, but don't get me wrong, I'm talking about this. Even when empty, these cylinders still contain a small amount of gas, which poses a danger to sanitation workers due to the risk of explosions and resulting fires. In this day and age, any increase in the risk of fires in California is simply not acceptable. The best option is to switch to reusable cylinders. Since the campaign's creation in 2015, the campaign has grown rapidly and has received recognition from various awards, articles, and notable mentions across California and the nation. The team here at CPSC is very proud of the campaign and the success we've had in encouraging positive behavior change. The purchase and consumption of fewer single-use cylinders and the huge uptick in purchase and use of reusable cylinders. We encourage you to visit our campaign website. We've worked very hard to provide you, the consumer, with all the information you need to get your hands on a reusable cylinder. We have an easy-to-use map that shows the locations of reusable cylinder retailers and refillers. We also list event locations, since CPSC hosts various free cylinder giveaways and single-use cylinder for reusable cylinder exchanges across the state. We also include information for media use, information for campaign volunteers, and contact information for those who simply want to learn more about the campaign. Our website is www.refuelyourfun.org. We are proud to announce that CPSC has more locations than ever on our map on our website, thanks to an ever-expanding list of campaign partners, many of which are shown here. When the campaign first started, we scoured the state looking for retailers and refillers to sell and refill reusable cylinders for residents to purchase and use. We've had great success, although there's a new option called a cylinder exchange that we'll discuss later in more detail. You can see here a couple pictures of some exchange cylinder events. You can see some exchange cylinders on the shelf, along with a CPSC team member hosting, again, a free reusable cylinder event. As I mentioned, reusable cylinders may be refilled time and time again, over 100 times in fact, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. Although the campaign focuses on the 1-pound propane cylinders, you can see that refillers, some of which are shown here, refill propane cylinders come in all different shapes and sizes. A special thanks to reusable cylinder retailers and refillers across the state. Here's a sneak peek of the map from ReFuelYourFun.org's website. It's the one shown on the right. The map on the left is from the Little Camper website. Little Camper is a company that offers convenient 1-pound propane cylinders for purchase and exchange across California at some of the state's leading retailers, large and small. I've got a special guest from Little Camper that will be joining me very shortly, so be sure to stay with me for that conversation. One of the reasons that reusable 1-pound propane cylinders have really caught on is because it's not only individuals that are purchasing and using them for tailgating and camping and picnics, it's also businesses too. Business use, in fact, has surged. Instead of purchasing dozens, if not hundreds, of single-use cylinders for use each year in commercial kitchens, chefs and restaurant managers are helping California to make the switch from single-use to reusable cylinders. You can see in this picture, one of our longtime CPSC supporters, Sierra Nevada Brewing, has recently made the switch to reusable cylinders in their kitchen. Their carbon footprint has lessened as a result, and they've saved money too. A real win-win. Here at CPSC, we've been assisting jurisdictions with helping their residents make the switch for years, thanks to CalRecycle-funded grants. CPSC has helped get hundreds of cases into the hands of Californians since 2015, and we'd like to help you too via the campaign. I'll have my contact information at the end of this presentation for you to note. Please reach out to us here at CPSC to talk about ways that we can help your residents make the switch to reusables. In each of the CalRecycle-funded grant programs that we work on, we start by gathering information about local consumer behavior, which helps us down the road when it comes to marketing and educating residents about where they can go to get a reusable cylinder and make the switch. You can see here some of the tools that we use to gather information from residents, including QR codes that lead to surveys, along with some tracking tools, such as a typical sign-up sheet for residents that want to commit to making the switch to reusables and get a free reusable cylinder in the process. We have events numerous times each year all across the state. Be sure to visit our website, ReFuelYourFun.org, to see which events are coming next. Events are typically held in the spring and summer, but sometimes in the fall too. On one of our recent Refuel Your Fun and Save campaign projects, due to the pandemic, we decided to not host an in-person event and instead drop off free reusable cylinders to residents at their homes that agreed to make the switch to reusables. Residents learned about this opportunity through a massive educational marketing campaign that comes with each of our campaign projects. Talking about marketing campaigns, we do an exceptional job at getting the word out and teaching residents about reusable cylinders. We've been doing this for years, and we typically leverage social media, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Nextdoor, and a number of others, to teach about the campaign and how they can make the switch to reusables. We also use local listservs and distribution lists from each of the local jurisdictions to help get the word out. We've recently crafted what we call an adventure video, one that highlights some of California's most beautiful parks, while leveraging the experience and knowledge of park rangers to educate viewers about the importance of not using single-use cylinders and how they can make the switch to reusable cylinders. We typically customize each video to reflect the needs of local communities, showcasing local parks, local park rangers, and include special details about local retailers. Raising public awareness is the name of the game for this campaign, and videos, such as the adventure video that I just mentioned, help us capture attention just long enough to teach viewers a thing or two about the costs, dangers, and risks associated with continued use of single-use cylinders. Videos have proven especially useful for the campaign, and we'd love to make one for you too. One of the ways we customize each project's videos is at the end of each video, thanking local stakeholders and sharing details about how residents can get their hands on a reusable cylinder. Here's a clip of one of our most recent adventure videos.
Hi, my name is Angie Edmonds and I work for California State Parks. California State Parks are very highly visited and cherished places here in California. We experience over 65 million visitors every year. A part of camping is bringing lots of gear with you so you can kind of feel the comforts of home when you're out enjoying nature. These little green cylinders are sort of like landmines in our waste stream. We really encourage for people to use a reusable option instead of these single-use cylinders. The Refuel Your Fun campaign has a map on their website where you can find out where to buy reusable propane cylinders near you. So you're going to save money by using this. It's better for our parks, and we hope that you will use a reusable propane cylinder next time you come to our parks.
Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that one of the reasons the campaign has been wildly successful is because of the willingness of retailers, refillers, and cylinder suppliers to step forward, see the value in making the switch, and then offering only reusables to customers. These three companies have been instrumental in making the campaign a success in jurisdictions across the state, and we'd like to bring that success to your jurisdiction too. I'd like to pivot to a discussion that I had recently with one of our greatest supporters, Josh Simpson from Little Camper. He'll tell us more about the issues surrounding single-use cylinders and one of the solutions that Little Camper offers. He'll mention an issue recently experienced by Yosemite National Park that involves very large quantities of single-use cylinders that have been left behind by visitors and how the park chose to resolve the issue, as shown pictorially here. Okay, so I have with me right now Josh Simpson from Little Camper. Josh, I'm going to hand it right over to you. If you could tell us a bit about yourself and Little Camper and the issue of single-use 1 pound propane cylinders.
Sure. So I was raised in California. I actually grew up in Berkeley, and as a kid started camping and spending time outdoors with my parents and my brothers and sisters at a young age, and that's always been a recreational activity that's been an important part of my life. Fast forward to my job, and when I started working for my employer, Camps Propane, in 2013, one of the things that I found out was that the company actually recycled propane cylinders, which was surprising to me. It wasn't something I knew before I was hired, but as I kind of became an employee who understood more about the company, it became evident to me that there were actually a really substantial number of 1 pound propane cylinders that were being brought to our facility in Manteca, California from state parks, national parks, recreation facilities, and the number was actually increasing over the time that I was working for the company. And so a couple of years after I started at Camps Propane, a manufacturer named Flame King introduced a refillable 1 pound propane cylinder that essentially could act as a substitute for a disposable 1 pound propane cylinder. It was very interesting to me because I thought, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. People can use that instead and reduce waste. But what I found out from time was that, in fact, there really weren't a lot of people who were using that reusable 1 pound propane cylinder because, A, not a lot of people knew about it, and B, it wasn't particularly easy to find someone who would fill it for you. And the manufacturer wanted their customers to fill the cylinders themselves, but that's actually a hazardous process, and most people shouldn't do that. So in a conversation with people that I worked with, I suggested that maybe it would be a worthwhile idea to offer that 1 pound propane cylinder as an exchange program, the same way that companies offer 20 pound barbecue cylinder exchange. And the company, Camps Propane, operates a barbecue cylinder exchange company called Pickup Propane. And the people that I was working with said, that's kind of an interesting idea. It's not really what we want to do, but if you're really interested in doing that and you want to try it and see what happens, sure, go ahead. So I got some help from people that I worked with and collaborated with some stakeholders who were interested in the reduction of propane cylinder waste. And we created what we called a Little Camper, which is our 1 pound cylinder propane tank exchange program. And we have been offering that. We started out offering it to the customers of Camps Propane through our offices around California. And then after a little while, decided to actually externalize that and do a pilot where we started reselling it through a select group of hardware stores. That pilot program was successful. And so a few years ago, John Camps decided that he was willing to invest in the expansion of the program, and we invested in the creation of the world's first automated filling system for these 1 pound cylinders, which was a considerable expense, took a lot of time to design and fabricate. And now we have a program where we offer 1 pound cylinder exchange to hardware stores, convenience stores, grocery stores, sporting goods retailers, all over the Western United States. And in 20 2022, we will expand the distribution area of the Little Camper program across the entire continental United States.
That's incredible.
I think so.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about exactly how the exchange works?
So the program is very similar to what happens with a barbecue tank exchange program in that a customer purchases a tank from one of our stores, and when they buy the tank, which is a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $19.99, it comes filled with gas. So if you're heading off on a camping trip or going tailgating or something like that, you can buy a tank from one of our stores. It's filled with gas. Go off and have your adventures. When you use all the gas in the tank and you need more, you take your empty tank back to one of our stores and exchange the tank at a Little Camper retailer for a full tank for half the retail price of the purchase. So you go from $19.99 on the purchase to $9.99 on the exchange. But the magic of it, truthfully, is that what you don't do is you don't leave an empty propane cylinder in a national park or a state park or a local recreation facility, which unfortunately ends up costing those places a substantial amount of money because those tanks are inexpensive to purchase but expensive to recycle.
Excellent. You did a great job of identifying the issue associated with the 1 pound single-use cylinders and the solution, which is an exchange program. And it sounds like you've had a lot of success, and it sounds like you're in line to experience a lot more success. So we wish you the best. Thank you for joining us today, Josh. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Nate.
I'd like to thank each of you for participating in today's discussion on Refuel Your Fun and Save campaign, Making the Switch. If you have any questions, here's my contact information. I'd love to hear from you, talk about how we can expand the program to include your jurisdiction. Feel free to reach me via email or telephone. I'm happy to discuss with you the Refuel Your Fun and Save campaign at your convenience. Thank you so much.